My team sent you a $50 million offer this morning. $50 million cash, proof of funds. The biggest fight offer you've ever been offered, but you're scared to fight me, Conor.
Hey there, YouTubers. With 2021 coming to an end, an uncertainty looms over the world of boxing. We understand that boxing, as well as other forms of contact sport, have been somewhat hijacked by a swarm of YouTubers who are apparently beating pro fighters at their own game. Yes, I'm talking about none other than Logan and Jake Paul. The two have absolutely dominated the ring this year, and are determined to stop at nothing. The brothers are challenging and taking down everyone that comes in their way. Most recently, we've seen Jake Paul call out none other than UFC big shot Conor McGregor.
You fought or something, or you haven't fought this guy yet, or you ain't done that. If you think of it like a mirror, that man or that person who's writing this or saying this, he himself is projecting his own insecurities, because that man...
But with McGregor seemingly unbothered in Jake's previous call to challenge, his recent reaction is somewhat interesting. Has Jake lost it? Why is he so adamant at challenging McGregor? Let's look at what McGregor has to say. So what triggered all of this craziness? To summarize, let's simply call it a consequence of triumph. We can see Jake Paul acting ahead of himself after knocking out Tyron Woodley in their big bout. The battle between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, which was meant to be a boxing contest, drew so much interest that it became more than that. For both sides, there was a lot on the line, the most important of which was honor. Tommy hails from a boxing family, and his upbringing has influenced his fighting career to this point. His father, John Fury, was a British professional boxer before retiring from the sport. He's been particularly active in recent weeks in thrashing the Pauls online and rallying support for the match. He had reason to trust him because his eldest son, Tyson Fury, is also a professional boxer. Tyson has a perfect record of 31 wins, 1 tie, and 0 losses. Tyson is the WBC World Heavyweight Champion in 2 divisions. As a result, it's easy to see why John felt so sure in Tommy's capacity to succeed. Jake and his elder brother Logan were aspiring boxers who had just recently joined the ring at the start of the year. Jake and Logan's careers have hit a halt so far. It has been tough for them to get acceptance in the boxing world. The Paul brothers are ridiculed and not taken seriously by most professional boxers, especially given their previous career choices. Many people view them as little more than YouTubers. Despite Jake's auspicious start in the ring, this is the situation. Jake is undefeated in 4 games. As a result, Jake was ecstatic to meet Tommy Fury. If Jake had vanquished Fury, his reputation as a man who was here to stay would have been cemented. However, we're aware that this did not occur. Tommy said that he had a bacterial chest infection in addition to a cracked rib. The battle was called off as a result of this tremendous setback, and to be honest, that's understandable.
You know, I was in my sparring sessions, pad work sessions, whatever it may be, just not being able to breathe and coughing up huge amounts of phlegm all the time led me to sleepless nights, and that went on for about 4 weeks because I had the mindset of I'm going to keep training, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to have the fight no matter what. And 4 weeks passed and we decided to have a sparring session, and I took a little clip to the body, and because my body was so weak due to the virus inside.
Considering that it would have impacted Tommy's performance as well as his entire health and well-being. He may have won the battle, but the harm to his body may have had a long-term influence on his career. So how did Jake react? He made it up as he went along. Tyron found himself in a vulnerable predicament after Jake Paul defeated him for the first time this year. Tyron's initial attempt at boxing did not go well, and his performance was not one of the sport's best. Tyron was already a well-known figure in the MMA community, so the criticism hit him hard. Jake, on the other hand, was a neophyte of the world of contact sports. He was on a winning streak despite the fact that this was only his 4th battle. He'd won all of his previous fights by knockout, and while Tyron didn't beat him, he did put a halt on Jake's knockout streak. So now you know why Jake Paul is up in the sky. Despite everything, despite all skeptics, despite all the forecasts in Tyron's favor, Jake Paul triumphed. Not only that, but in front of millions of people, he managed to knock Tyron Woodley out cold. As a result, we can confidently assert that Jake Paul is on a killing spree. Jake Paul not only won consecutive boxing battles, but he also defeated Tyron Woodley twice, knocking him out in the second time. Tyron is a current MMA fighter who has competed for the UFC on many occasions, so it's appropriately prideful of Jake to come out of YouTube and give everyone his path in an awful hammering. Regardless, Jake was facing Tommy Fury, a boxer from a family of boxers. Tyson Fury, Tommy's brother, is a 2-time WBA World Heavyweight Champion. As a result of Tommy's withdrawal, Jake has understood how terrifying he is. Tyson may have claimed that Tommy could beat Jake with a broken rib, but the Fury's withdrawal convinced Jake that he was a deadly opponent, one that no one wanted to face. So, very rightly, we can say that victory, positive feedback, and the ability to shatter boxing stereotypes has really gotten Jake's head up in the clouds. Besides, Tyron Woodley might not be a good boxer, but he did have a pretty decent career as a mixed martial artist. We cannot by any means say that Tyron is not a tough man, and for Jake to have beaten him really means that Jake is not just a formidable challenger for most boxers, but also for many UFC fighters. And Jake has reinforced this idea by telling everyone he will not stop at anything, that he'll take on UFC fighters and boxers alike. He challenged Dana White to pin him up against Conor McGregor and vowed to take McGregor down.
Dude, you got paid $5 million to fight a bum. You should have taken the Jake Paul fight for $50 million, but now I got $10,000 for you. I got $10,000 cash. Cold hard cash, blue onions, all cash.
This was not the first time he challenged McGregor though. But if there is one thing we know about McGregor, it's that he's as much of a big mouth as Jake Paul himself. Conor McGregor's answer to being asked what he thought of Jake Paul's first victory over Tyron Woodley was simple: I don't really care. As a result, Conor never thought of Jake Paul as a serious opponent. His response gradually shifted after hearing that Jake Paul had called him out.
So either of those two?
I don't see so, but never say never. I mean, if they're gonna keep competing and whatnot, who knows?
One and possibly two Paul brothers ringside also, cage side.
I couldn't care about them two dingbats.
Jake Paul was shocked when Conor tried to diminish his own celebrity status. But this time, Jake went one step further by saying he would not just beat fighters like Conor McGregor and Nick Diaz, but he would even embarrass them.
My new $100,000 NyQuil McGregor, Sleepy McGregor chain, made by Benny the Jeweler. Thank you.
We got over here 1 carat each with a hand-painted McGregor, Sleepy McGregor enamel on it.
Hey McGregor, you better win tonight, otherwise your career is over. And if you lose, that $50 million bet I gave you won't be on the table anymore. So don't choke like you normally do. Sleepy McGregor, don't go night-night. NyQuil McGregor.
Jake even questioned Conor McGregor's profits early in his career, mocking him for failing to attract enough attention or cash.
Fair play to them. Fair play to the Logan guy getting in with Floyd. I'm excited to see how that goes. Floyd looks a bit fat to me, man. It's a mad little scene at the minute, isn't it? But I'm not against it. Any man that is willing to make that walk, all the best.
To this, McGregor replied that Jake was unaware of what he was talking about. In making corrections to Jake's statements, Conor McGregor bragged about the real stats from some of his early fights, including one against Ben Askren that grossed over £45 million in pay-per-view sales. As a result, McGregor didn't hold back. He retaliated with an eruption of emotion and banter, demonstrating that he is not scared to beat up Jake Paul and walk away with a huge bag of cash as the conclusion of the bout. Besides, we know that there's one thing that Conor McGregor loves: it's money. At this point, it doesn't matter who reacts to what and who challenges whom. Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor seems like a very interesting prospect, and it's bound to be viewed by millions. So whoever wins or loses, each fighter is going to take away a lot of money from the fight, and thus it seems like something that just might be brewing. All we can do is wait and see what happens. That was all the time we had today, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and do hit the bell icon on your way out. See you in the next video.